Good morning, everyone. Happy Thursday. It's July 25th. My name is Amul, and I'm here to do your morning BTC analysis. Currently, the prices of Bitcoin are at 10,090 flat. This is on the Kraken exchange. And yesterday, if you were part of our group, our Cryptosomniac community, I mentioned that prices were tightening up in this area between the 618 fib and the 786 fib, so I was expecting at least a little bit of movement. I honestly did not know which way it was going to break out to, but I figured that if you saw confirmation out of the break of the 618 to the upside or below the 786, you could either take a long or a short for a quick, maybe 1 or 2% trade. And if any of you took it in the Cryptosomniac community, kudos to you. All right, so with that being said, let's get to our morning Bitcoin analysis, okay? On the 4-hour chart, we do see something like this happening, which is a larger parallel channel that happened over here, and then this sort of a breakout outside the parallel channel, and then again we came down again, right here. Okay, so now what we're really looking for, folks, is you're probably wondering, okay, does this mean that this is the end? We're going to go straight up? Not necessarily, all right? So just like price stair steps down, right? It goes down like this, up a little bit, down again, up a little bit, down again, right? We need to figure out if this is a larger move like this, a mini movement like this, and then another movement down, or are we finally breaking out of this parallel channel and we're gonna keep going like this, right? Okay, so one of the better ways to know that and understand is to honestly be patient, okay? And I know that's sort of easier said than done, but let me explain, okay? So let's go to our fibs right here, right? We could see that from this bottom right here that was put in right around, say, $9,100 to this top, which was about 11,200, price retraced from this bottom to this top all the way down into the 786 fib, okay? And now it's wanting to bounce up and out again, right? Okay, so stair stepping, right? So first we broke outside above the 618 fib. Now let's see, we're getting rejected perfectly by the 50 fib. So the next target would be the 382 fib, okay? All right, and you can see that this 382 and maybe even the one above it, which will be the 236, both of these will line up at some critical levels which are very close to some critical moving averages, all right, on the 4-hour chart. Now let me show you, okay? Here is the 50 and the 200 moving average, and I'm going to throw on the pivots right here, all right? And let me show you again. Now remember, okay, keep this in mind that the 382 level is right around 10,400 and the 236 is about 10,700. Okay, so I'm going to hide all these tools, all right? And let's zoom into the chart a little bit right here. And I'm going to close this out. All right, so check this out, okay? This right here is the 200, all right? And this is the 50, okay? So the 200 and the 50, remember that for a bullish movement up, the longer moving average, which is the larger 200, should be under the 50, all right? And they should be both trending up, all right? So look right here, okay? The 200, which is the red, is above the 50, and they're both kind of moving sideways. The 50 is technically moving down, okay? And both have actually widened their gap between each other. Again, not the best positive sign. But you're probably wondering, okay, well, won't that change if price just shoots up? Yeah, it's quite possible. But here we are, currently sitting at 10,080 or so, all right? Price has not really done anything of any significance to give us a clear direction, even on smaller time frames like the 1 hour or the 4 hour, to tell us that we're going to keep on moving up, okay? First, it needs to actually climb above these moving averages and above this 4-hour pivot. Currently, both those, if we just calculate the middle of these two averages and above this pivot, it's right around 10,400, let's just say. Okay, we have about $300 more to go on this move to get up to that point. Not only should we get up to that point, but we must stay above it for at least 2 4-hour candles. Okay, this will then signify that not only can price climb up above these moving averages as well as the pivot, but it can stay up there, not just sort of get up like this, okay, and then just get torpedoed down even further. All right, so this is why you need to identify strength when price sort of makes a move up like this, kind of moves sideways a little bit, consolidates, and then gets ready for another move up. When you see price moving up like this and then you see it consolidating above this pivot right here, I would be then a little bit more confident that we're going to move a little bit further, probably towards this R1. All right, now let's look at another thing. Okay, so let's say we are right here on this chart. All right, one thing that we need to also look at is some trend lines. Okay, so from say this lower high right here to this one right here, we have a little bit of ways to go, right? So if we look at this dotted trend line right here, I'm going to make this a bit bigger. Let's see. All right, so that's our first trend line. Another one is, let's see, where is it? Actually, maybe that is probably the only one. Okay, so that's one of our trend lines that we need to look at. Okay, from this top, which was about 11,900 to this bottom. We could technically actually look at this one as well. Okay, so say from this top to this area right here. Okay, notice how we're coming close to both of these right here. Well, at least one of them right now, right? We're very close to this one right here. Currently, that's around about 1025. Okay, so 10,250 is the area that we need to first break above from this touch to this touch, which is this high to this lower high, and then we can try to break out of this lower high to this lower high. Okay, so if price sort of turns around right here, or even it moves up and turns around right here, all we will have done is created lower highs, because that's kind of been our trend for almost the last month, right? Here's the high, a lower high, and potentially another lower high, just potentially heading down further. Until we sort of change the structure, it's really hard to determine exactly what price is going to do. Okay. Now I did state that this is a regular flat correction, right? So let me go back to this. I'm gonna take out these EMAs, and I'm gonna again show you. Remember that this is our regular flat, which is A, B, C, 3 waves in down wave A, 3 waves in up wave B, and 5 waves down in C. Typically, okay, not always, but typically what you see after C is a pretty sizable move to the upside. All right. Now, I guess you could make the argument that, hey, couldn't you say that after C right here, this has essentially ended right here, right there, okay? And now we may be heading down further. Yeah, it's very possible, but more often than not, C waves are actually pretty violent. Post C waves are actually pretty violent. At the very least, I was expecting us to get back to this descending trend line right here, from this top to this top right here, this lower high. But if that's not going to happen, that just means that there's actually more selling happening than we could understand. Okay, for now, it's not really visible, because if we start looking in the volume, I mean, the overall selling is actually going down. I've mentioned this before. If you look at this arrow right here, overall the selling is going down. I mean, yeah, you saw this big candle spike, but kind of largely ignoring that, from here down, it's really the sell side momentum has really just gone down. So I don't know. Typically, this looks like reaccumulation. It may look like fading of momentum on sell side volume, but it definitely does not look like distribution, at least not yet. okay? Unless we start seeing selling just sort of accelerate, kind of like this, these bars start to get bigger and bigger, then I would be a little bit more concerned. But the fact that hasn't happened, I don't know. I'm just on the fence, really. And on the fence also, folks, just because I drew this regular flat doesn't mean, I just go all in right here, right? I'm actually, honestly, I'm still waiting for this wave count to play out. I really don't mind paying a higher price for confirmation, because paying a higher price from confirmation is like paying for a peace of mind, which in my opinion is priceless, right? So with that being said, what I'm honestly waiting for is I want to trade the small moves up and down. As long as I get to scalp this chop right here, I'm okay. I think of maybe a day or two ago, or yesterday actually, I shorted right here around 9,900 or 10,000, and I closed my position right around 9,600. Okay, I wanted to long right here, but I had to go to bed yesterday, and I didn't really care much, to leave a position open overnight. So you could see, again, there's money to be made, and if you're not part of the Cryptosomniac community and you don't know exactly how to trade in these markets, in these chop markets, we actually have literally a bear analysis channel, which is all we do is provide short trade setups. Okay, again, not investment advice, but we just provide you all the information that you would need to be able to trigger good positions with good stop losses. Okay, all right, so anyway, with that being said, what we're really waiting for is, another big climb above that 10.4, 10.5 level at the very least. Okay, because that'll get us above this 382 and this closer to the 236, and then also that 50 and 200 EMA that I showed you on the 4-hour, as well as that pivot. Now let's take away this fib and let's line it up, because we now have a different structure, which is from this high to this low. Okay, so now take a look at this. Okay, so a good way, folks, and this is applicable to any market, all right, a good way to identify the strength of a movement is when you lay out fibs, okay, from the recent local high to the local low, is if the trend is turning around, at the very least, you want to wait above the reverse movement of this top to this bottom above the 618 level. And again, look where that comes out to, about 10,560. That again matches up with our 10.4, 10.5 level for the 4-hour chart, which is the 200 EMA as well as the 50 EMA, as well as above the 4-hour pivot. All right, so there are many reasons that I can tell you to wait above about 10.5, 10.6 at the very least. I don't even have that many reasons to tell you to buy now. Okay, first of all, I wouldn't tell you to buy now because that's not my job, but I'm saying that there are really not many compelling reasons to be able to buy here. Okay, unless this wave count is truly playing out. But again, you don't know if this wave count is playing out unless this high right here gets taken out. Okay, also, typically in third waves, okay, if this is truly the 3-wave right here, right, you want to see volume step up. The third wave in a Elliott wave impulse count, more often than not, has higher volume. Okay, the volume tends to step up, and this is the buy side volume, not the sell side. Okay, the sell side should actually be depleting even more. Okay, but again, we haven't quite seen that yet, but it remains to be seen. For all I know, in the next 24 hours, we might just see a huge spike up in prices, and then that sort of confirms our third wave, right? Nothing has really happened yet, but if you want to take chances, you have some options, right? One good thing that I found was this trend line right here. Let's see, where does it come from? I'm going to turn off this volume. All right. One good thing is that this trend line that touches this wick these two right here, one right there, two touches right there, three touches right there, and then fourth touch right here. So I would say this trend line right here, I'm going to validate this trend line as probably one of the more official useful trend lines. Okay, so I'm going to make this a bit bigger. Wait, where'd it go? Oh, there it is. Okay, this trend line is active now, meaning that it has been confirmed as this touch, this touch, this touch, this touch right here, and this touch right here. There's about 4 or 5 different touches that have now confirmed this as a strong trend line. So if prices move up and they want to come back to this area again, maybe they might bounce off this level. But you also don't want to keep hammering on the same trend line over and over again, because eventually it's going to break. Okay, so this kind of leads me back to, again, this point right here is if we get rejected by one or maybe even both of these trend lines right here at some point, and we keep falling further back again towards, say, 9.6, 9.7, it's not going to be a good thing. Okay, more than likely we're probably going to crack that and then head down towards 9,100 or 9,000. All right, so in large part I'm kind of just hoping to play some small moves here and there, whether it's shorting or longing in quick scalps, but I'm not fully convinced that I have enough information to determine a trend shift in prices. All right, now let me go back to this chart right here and let me go to the daily. Okay, I'm going to hide all these tools. So remember how I've said that, you know, the larger the time frame, the more valid the information is, right? So the bigger the time frames, the better and more accurate the information is. Okay, so I'm going to turn on this 50 moving average. All right, I'm going to turn on this pivots table again. I'm going to turn on the 100, the 200, the 30 EMA, as well as the 21 EMA. Okay. All right, now let's get to it. Let's start dissecting what we see now on the daily. Okay. So remember, on the 4-hour, we have enough information to tell us that there's really not a definitive trend change. Okay. At the very least, you want to wait above at least, you know, a couple of 4-hour candles above, I think 10.5, 10.6 we said, right? Now here on the daily, this is where things get interesting. Okay, we had this 21 and 30 EMA as support for this entire run from March, maybe even further back, even February right here, right? The black is the 21 EMA, the white is the 30 EMA. Okay, every time we've tried to break past it, prices have supported it nicely and pushed us up even further. Okay, now, all right, we are not only under both the black and the white, which is the 21 EMA and the 30 EMA on the daily chart, right? We are under the 50 moving average. We have not touched the 50, all right? We have not touched the 50 since way over here, 18th February. Once we broke above the 50 moving average, which was around 17th February, we have not broken under the 50 since then. Okay, so that's basically what, March, April, May, June, July, 5 months, right? 5 months above that moving average. Now, again, we broke past it just about last week. You know, we shot up again, tried to break past above the pivot, did not happen, did not succeed. Again, broke down under the 21 EMA, the 30 EMA, as well as the 50 moving average. So the daily is also now telling you that, excuse me, the daily is also now telling you that, hey, I'm trying my best to get above, you know, certain key levels, but there's just too much selling happening. There's not enough firepower from the bulls to, you know, hold prices up at the very least above the 50 or even, you know, the pivots of the 21 or 30 EMA. All right. So the daily is now telling you that I'm showing signs of weakness. Okay. Doesn't mean that we're just going to capitulate, but just means that we cannot even hold above the pivot. And the pivots, again, if you don't know how to use these, they are determined by previous price action and history of levels that are critical, you know, support and resistance levels that price should hold above on certain time frames. Okay, they're not exact, but they're very good indicators of understanding what levels that price should be at the very least holding above. And you can see right now, price cannot stay above the 50. All right. So then what does that lead us to? I would say the next bet is somewhere around this 100 moving average, which is this green marker right here. Okay. This is currently at about $8,500 or so. Okay. Which just so happens to be this big consolidation, phase that happened in the middle of May all the way to the beginning of June. Okay, so if prices just accelerate down really fast, really hard, I would say this is the moving average that prices will come down to, as well as this consolidation phase. But for now, the daily, I'm telling you, it's showing you signs of weaknesses, and I don't see any reason to get into a trade, at least a long trade, as per the daily chart. Now, again, another option here is when prices come closer to this area right here, 10.3, maybe even 10.2, or maybe even rejection of this 50 moving average, which is about 10,250 or so, right? You could potentially short. Okay, your short would be right here. Your stop would be well, I guess you can make it above these moving averages right here, about 10.6, 10.7, as well as above the pivot. Okay, if you have that kind of safety margin on your side. All right. Other than that, I don't know if a long position is warranted right now, to be completely honest. Okay, so be very careful longing or spot buying in this market, because honestly, folks, I'm seeing some, at the very least, neutral to semi-bearish momentum starting on 12-hour time frames, daily time frames, and at the very least neutral on weekly time frames. Okay, so look out for this currently, this 8,500. Maybe in the next couple of days this moving average could climb all the way up to about 87, 8,800. So look out for this 100 moving average on the daily. All right, let's go check out the weekly right now real quick. Oh, actually, let's take a look at LTC. Okay, here's another thing about LTC. Okay, and same thing with Ethereum. All right, we had this trend line, this large parallel channel in LTC, which was bouncing us off, 0.1, 0.2 right there, 0.3 right there, and then we didn't even come to the bottom of this parallel channel till literally last week, right? I mean, we accelerated down really fast towards it, actually. And now what we're seeing is this low that was put in, this higher low that is being put in, but we cannot actually stay above inside this parallel channel. Currently, we're actually getting rejected again, okay? This is very analogous to the structure that we're seeing in BTC, okay? I think it's this chart right here. Check this out, okay? Same thing right here, okay? Here's a trend line touch right there, number 2 touch, and number 3 right here is a rejection. All right, so almost very similar to what we're seeing right now. Critical, trend lines and structures that were holding prices up for a good amount of time, almost 5 to 6 months, right? They're now posing as resistance. Okay, so this again makes me be a little bit more wary to the fact that maybe prices aren't as strong. Maybe they need to find a better, stronger bottom. Maybe even gather some more liquidity, scare the pants off some retailers, consolidate for a few months at some, semi-bearable levels, like maybe mid-8s, maybe even high 7s, right? And then keep on moving away, okay? Because this may have been your blow off the top right here. We could be, potentially in a deeper stretch in a wave 4, and then the 5th wave could take us back towards, I don't know, 16, 18,000 or so. Okay, but anyway, for now, that's hard to determine, right? All we can say right now is prices are not looking good as per the 4-hour, 12-hour daily, and then the weekly chart is now starting to look a bit more, I don't know, I would say lacks strength at the very least. Okay, so here's the weekly chart. Now remember, I had stated that on the weekly, okay, we either need to cross above the 11.6 marker on a weekly close or close below the 9.6 marker on the weekly. Closing below 9.6 means that we're definitely looking more bearish, and we're probably more than likely going back towards somewhere in the 8,000 region, potentially even a little bit lower than that. Like I said, maybe mid to high 7,000s. Okay, closing above the 11.6 region on a weekly candle will almost certainly, in my opinion, guarantee at the very least 13,000, and at the very highest this level right here, about 18 to 19K. Okay, but neither of which has happened. Okay, we're just floating around in this white or gray box right here. No sort of definitive direction as per the weekly. So all you have right now on the 4-hour, the daily, and the weekly is proceed with caution. Don't get too greedy thinking that we're going to go straight up or straight down. And like I said, in my community, all we're really doing is scalping trades here and there. I had a nice trade the other day on a short position that I showed to my community, and they got a nice move in right there. I use Deribit, by the way, folks. So if you want to use Deribit, or if you want to learn how to short on Deribit, how to use options or futures, trade perpetuals, come join our Cryptosomniac community and I can show you how. Okay. So anyway, so now you have some clear understanding of exactly what price is doing, which honestly is really not a whole lot. At the very least, price is telling you, be careful, don't jump in just yet for longs. The overall structure is probably better suited for short positions, in my opinion. But again, you are free to choose whatever position that you want. I know that our community is prepared no matter what. I provide updates at least every hour or two in the Bitcoin analysis channel right here. I let my community members know exactly what I'm doing, what I'm looking at. So if you are into that, you like that form of communication, you like knowing exactly what the market is doing, you want to learn, and you want a nice education section right here, like we have, come join the Cryptosomniac community, folks. All right, Cryptosomniac.com and hit the products page and join Advantage. All right. Last but not least, let's take a look at Ether. Okay. That's the wrong chart. Let's take a look at ETH USD. Here's Ether as well. Okay, Ether it posted this long-legged doji right here, but typically, after these, again, these are pause, right? Pause, wait, let's see what the next one shows. You can see on the next one right here, nothing solid in terms of, a positive movement. You would like to see at the very least, like, I don't know, a follow-up candle like this, right? A nice strong bullish. But like I said, as per Bitcoin, I'm really not seeing any strength in basically anything. And I don't know if there is some, fundamentals that are playing out, which are maybe, price overextension. I know the mining average is currently around 11,300, if I'm not mistaken. And typically price has gravitated, somewhere just a little bit above or slightly below the mining average costs around the world. It could also be that the United States regulatory body is really cracking down on exchanges like BitMEX. We actually saw a 40% volume drop in BitMEX and other exchanges. I can show you this right here. I think I put it up a few days ago. Right here. Okay, there is something really large that is happening behind the scenes, and price could almost, be following exactly what's happening over here. This is by Nick Patel on Twitter. Okay, I want to give him credit for finding this information out. Like I said, something fishy is going on. there's been about close to -$1 billion that has been moved out of Bitfinex and BitMEX combined, and the volume has actually dropped about 30 to 40%, I think, on both exchanges. Don't quote me on that. Please read this yourself. But as far as I remember reading it 2 or 3 days ago, that's exactly what this article determined. And also, having the backed launch, being the testing phase, um, price being a little bit overextended. I would say all those are just perfect timing for what's happening in the market right now. So anyway, being careful, being cautious with your capital, because rule number one is you preserve your capital, and rule number two is grow it. You can't follow rule number two if you don't know how to preserve your capital. All right. So waiting with patience and seeing exactly what the market is going to give you over the coming days or weeks is going to really pay off. All right. So anyway, going back to ETH on the weekly, really nothing of significance that's showing you that after this long-legged doji right here, we're not seeing a strong, follow-up bullish candle. All right. Even on the daily, here's something interesting too. Just like the LTC and the BTC chart that I showed you, check this out, okay? Here's Ethereum, touch 1, touch 2, and then it creates this fan trend line, right? Fan trend lines are typically created once price shows more strength. So first touch was right here, second touch was right here, but then price moved away at a steeper angle like this. So that shows the strength of price. But then, price went all the way up here to about $360 or $70, and then just came back down again. Okay, really fast, really hard. Bounced off the critical trend line that was, created as per this line right here, and then is now bouncing in between these two right here. So it's really stuck in what was the previous strong movement right here that was holding us up. Paused a little bit right here, broke through, used as resistance, and now is challenging this critical trend line again. Okay, so again, I would probably say if price climbs above this level, then I'd feel a little bit better. If it doesn't, then I don't know. It's really hard to determine if prices can't just break on through even further. And I would say if prices do break on through, folks, they're probably going to break between 184 and about 150. All right, things are going to get really scary and really panicky in the crypto space. So do be careful and start looking to hedge your bets. Start looking to maybe take profits on your long positions, because this market is definitely giving me a bit of uncertainty as to the direction. Maybe something really fishy is going on in the behind the curtains. But for now, really no idea what the structure, what the price action is trying to do, other than the fact, then what we can see, which is it's showing you weakness. All right. So anyway, folks, I hope you understand what I've stated so far on the 4-hour, the daily, and the weekly time frames, especially on Bitcoin and Ethereum and LTC, which are really the big majors where volume typically flows through. So with that being said, I'm going to wrap up this analysis. I hope you gained a lot from what we taught today, gained a lot about patience. I hope you keep watching my videos. Give me a thumbs up if you enjoy my content. And with that being said, take care. Cheers, folks, and watch out for this 100 moving average and this mid 8,000 range. All right. Y'all have a good one. Stay blessed.